Imagine walking out to tend your garden one morning, only to find a brand new fence cutting straight through your crops, installed overnight without warning. That's exactly what happened to me. The Homeowners Association, or HOA, decided to claim part of my land as their own, fencing off a section of my backyard where I had been growing fruits and vegetables for years. No notice, no discussion, just a shiny new fence and a whole lot of nerve. I couldn't believe it. They said it was for community appearance, but really they just wanted control. Now, here's where it gets wild. Instead of arguing or tearing the fence down, I did something they didn't expect. I checked the property records, bought the narrow strip of land they'd fenced in, and guess what? That fence now runs straight through my property, and the only gate into that fenced area. Yeah, I own the key. This isn't just a story about a garden or a grudge. It's about standing up for your rights when people in power overstep. The HOA thought they could bully me with bylaws and boundary lines. They didn't count on someone who'd fight back, with paperwork and a plan. But trust me, that's not even the craziest part. Because once they found out I had the key to their precious little fenced-in area, things escalated fast. And it wasn't long before their own rules started working against them. You won't believe what happened next. So here's how it all started. I moved into this neighborhood a few years ago, thinking it would be a quiet place to settle down, grow my own food, and just mind my business. At first, things were great. I tilled up a small section of my backyard and planted tomatoes, squash, peppers, you name it. I even built some raised beds and a small compost bin. Nothing fancy, just honest work and fresh produce. But apparently that was too much for the HOA. They started with small complaints. Your garden looks unkempt, or you can't have mulch piles visible from the street, even though my yard is fenced and private. I followed their rules when I could, but it was clear some board members just didn't like what I was doing. Then one day, out of nowhere, I wake up and find a fence running across the back part of my yard, right through the garden beds. No letter, no warning, just a fence. And when I asked about it, they claimed it was common property now, and they were protecting the neighborhood image. That didn't sit right with me. I did some digging, literally and legally. Turns out, the HOA had made a mistake. That strip of land they fenced off, it was technically never theirs. It was a neglected parcel the developer left behind, and nobody claimed it, until I did. I bought it quietly, and once I had the paperwork, I made one tiny but important change, installed a locked gate. After I locked that gate, things got real tense. The HOA didn't even realize what I'd done at first. They thought I was just being dramatic, locking a gate to their space. But once I sent them a copy of the land deed and proof that I now owned the fenced-in strip, the panic started to show. Suddenly, board members were knocking on my door, asking to discuss the situation. Some were polite, others not so much. They kept insisting it was community land, but the truth was sitting right there in black and white. That land was mine now, fair and square. What made it worse for them was that they had already started using the space for their own little projects. A few board members had moved HOA gardening equipment into the area, rakes, hoses, even a wheelbarrow or two. Now all of it was locked inside my gate. I didn't touch their stuff. I just left it there. I figured if they wanted their tools back, they could go through the proper channels, just like I had to when they messed with my property. Meanwhile, neighbors started noticing. Some supported me, saying they were tired of the HOA pushing people around. Others sided with the board, worried that I was causing drama. I even heard whispers of a special meeting being planned, without me invited. Apparently, some members wanted to challenge my land ownership, saying it violated the spirit of the community. But I wasn't backing down, not after what they pulled. The special HOA meeting went ahead without me. I only found out about it because a neighbor, who'd quietly supported me from the start, slipped a note in my mailbox. Turns out, the board was trying to pass a motion to override my property claim or at the very least, gain emergency access to the locked area. They even tried to label it a safety hazard. Funny how suddenly my asterisk garden was dangerous now that they didn't control it. The tension in the neighborhood was at an all-time high. People were picking sides, some neighbors avoiding eye contact, others asking me for updates like it was a local drama show. But this wasn't just about land anymore. It was about principle. About how far a group with power will go to avoid admitting they made a mistake. And I could feel the pressure building, especially when a notice showed up taped to my door saying the HOA intended to remove unauthorized barriers from what they still claimed was shared property. But here's the thing, I had already filed everything with the county. Every document, every survey. My lawyer, yes, I had to get one, told me they'd be walking straight into a legal mess if they tried anything. Still, the threat was out there, and the next morning, I caught one of the board members near the fence with a bolt cutter in hand, just standing there, hesitating, looking over their shoulder. That's when I knew this wasn't over, not even close. I didn't say anything right away when I saw the board member with the bolt cutters. I just stood behind my curtain, heart pounding, watching as they stared at the gate like it might explode if they touched it. Eventually they walked away, but that image stuck with me. They were getting desperate, and that's when the second twist hit, an official letter, not from the HOA this time, but from the city. The letter claimed there was an open investigation into improper land acquisition. They were requesting documents and warning of possible zoning violations. At first, I thought the HOA had somehow convinced the city to get involved. But the more I dug, the stranger it got. The report wasn't based on any recent filings. It was triggered by an anonymous complaint submitted just a few days after the HOA's meeting. Someone had gone out of their way to challenge my land ownership at the city level, hoping to stall or reverse it with red tape. It was no longer just about fences or gardens. Now, my entire property claim was under review, and the city had the power to put a hold on everything. If they ruled against me, I could lose not just the fence strip, but part of my backyard too. I spent that whole week digging through paperwork, calling surveyors, and trying to stay calm. But the clock was ticking, and while I was busy fighting City Hall, the HOA saw their chance to make a move. The city deadline came faster than I expected. I pulled together every document I had, survey maps, title records, even the email chain with the developer who confirmed the land had been unclaimed until I purchased it. On the day of the review, I showed up in person, sat down with the city inspector, and walked them through the whole mess. They listened carefully, flipping through the paperwork, nodding slowly. Then they leaned back and said, "Looks like you did everything by the book. Honestly, I don't see a problem here." Just like that, the complaint was dismissed. I barely had time to celebrate. That same evening, while I was back in the garden pulling weeds, I noticed something strange. My gate was open. The lock was broken, snapped clean through. Tools were missing, the fence had been bent back in places, and one of my raised beds was trampled. It was quiet. No witnesses, no cameras, but I had a good idea who was behind it. So I called the police, not to make a huge scene, but to get it on record. A report was filed, and later that week, I handed a copy to the HOA during their next public meeting. I didn't raise my voice. I just read the statement and laid the report on the table. That's when the final twist dropped. A board member stood up and quit, right then and there. Turns out, they had warned the others not to go this far, but no one listened. And now, with the police involved and the city ruling in my favor, the whole board was under pressure. After that board member walked out, everything changed. The rest of the HOA backed off fast. I didn't get an apology, not really, but the letters stopped, the threats stopped, and the fence. It stayed exactly where it was, with my locked gate still standing. A quiet memo went out to the neighborhood saying the board would reassess boundary protocols moving forward, which was their way of admitting they lost without actually saying it. I didn't need their apology anyway. I had my land, my garden, and most importantly, my peace back. Over the next few weeks, a few neighbors even came by to chat, curious about what really happened. Some just wanted the drama explained. Others admitted they were tired of the HOA overreaching and appreciated that someone stood their ground. I shared what I learned, that you've got to know your rights, check your property lines, and never assume an HOA always plays by the rules. Because sometimes, standing up for yourself means more than just saying no. It means doing the work to prove it. The crops came back slowly. Some things were damaged beyond repair, but I replanted. The soil was still mine. And that locked gate, it stayed as a reminder that fences go both ways. They can keep people out, sure, but they also protect what matters most. So yeah, the HOA tried to steal my crops with a fence. Too bad I bought the land, and the only gate key. And now, they're the ones on the outside looking in.